Hey guys, Chickadee Maine, aka Deboo, with a forecast video update. This forecast video update effective around 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday, May 31st, 2022. Okay guys, this video is likely to be a long one. We'll hope you'll stay tuned in for all of it. Tomorrow, June 1st, starts the first official day of the 2022 Atlantic tropical cyclone season, and we're going to be watching, or have been watching, our first AOI, area of interest, that may impact the southeast United States, specifically South Florida into Central Florida and into Northeast Florida, with possible heavy rainfall coming towards this weekend, stretching out over into the Bahamas. This is the area that the National Hurricane Center has been tracking for the last couple of days, has been moving the chance of development in increments of 10, and is now up to 70% chance as of the 2 p.m. update. Now, the 8 o'clock update will probably be moved to 80% as we're starting to get some consensus through the models of development, just moving into Florida from the Florida West Coast, and then some possible development, maybe even stronger on the east side of Florida, maybe into Northeast Florida waters. We'll show you that here in the models in just a few moments. Now, we always like to start our videos off by welcoming new followers and by thanking long-time ones, by letting you know that we are primarily a surf and marine forecaster covering the North Atlantic waters, looking for weather patterns and or systems that produce high seas and or high surf. You can't have high surf without high seas. During wintertime, those are the extratropical cyclones that form up in the North Atlantic, the hurricane force lows, and during summertime, we're tracking hurricanes or the potential thereof. We have no formal training in meteorology, but we like to tell people that we have a BS from the University of Google Search. All right, I'm going to switch you over to our Twitter account and tell you how our social feeds work, so you'll know throughout the season. And that is that we post everything on Twitter first, and then we'll cross-post over to Instagram, which will automatically feed over to Facebook. During times of battle or times of increased activity, we may not be able to share everything over to Instagram and over to Facebook. If you're interested in following us a little more closely, I suggest you open up a Twitter account. You can always set your Twitter account notification so that if you know that there may be an impending storm that may affect you in your region, you can turn on notifications and you'll get all of my notifications that I tweeted an image or something. I made a post. And so I'm going to take you to the first pinned tweet. Now, this was May 16th. This was 15 days ago, guys. Okay. And this was when we were going to get the first CAG developed. And so whenever I do a pinned tweet, it's when I'm confident that I'm seeing something, and I'm confident that something may happen. And so when I pin this tweet, this satellite imagery here, you'll see that there's two arrows. There's one pointing into the Eastern Pacific, and there's one in here in the Gulf of Honduras. And if you go back, or if you look, you'll see that back around this time, we were talking about the pattern known as round the corner. And that is where an area spin develops off Panama or Costa Rica. That's very common this time of year when you get easterly trade wind flows and the westerly flow down in here out of the Eastern Pacific, out of the intertropical convergence zone. It'll create a natural spin in here off Panama and Costa Rica, and then you get a westward moving tropical wave to come in and interact with that spin, and then sometimes that will induce tropical cyclone development up here in the Gulf of Honduras. And then once it gets into the Gulf of Honduras, you know, it's all wide open from there. It could move off towards the west, it could move off towards Mexico, Texas, Louisiana, Florida Panhandle, or back over Florida, like we're seeing coming up in this next pattern. And so since then, although these areas of spin are not the same spins that created Agatha over here in the Eastern Pacific, or 90L Invest, the first invest coming off the tip of the uke, it's pattern recognition. So we've got two arrows, and since then we've had three AEWs, African Easterly Waves, move in here to the Caribbean to current right now. The atmosphere slowed so much in here that this all got bottlenecked up in here. Okay, and so since then we've had Agatha, that's the bottom arrow here, and then we had 90L Invest before that come in here off the Gulf of Honduras. There was an little area of spin that developed north of the tip of the Yucatan, and then another little spin came into here to the Gulf of Honduras, kicked off the Uke, and then kicked off that little surface low, and then that led it up towards into the Panhandle. And so when we see something that we're confident about, we'll do a pin tweet because it puts a date and time stamp on it. So this satellite image is 15 days old with two arrows, one pointing to the East Pacific, Agatha, one pointing to the Gulf of Honduras, which ended up being 90L Invest. Also, Twitter is where I have a lot of influential followers, and I can get information based on their post where I might be seeing something wrong. I've known to have been wrong before, and when you're dealing with people that are smarter than you, and you happen to see a post that you just posted, and you say, "Oh, whoa," you know what I mean? Maybe I didn't get that right. And so with Twitter, you really can't delete posts. I get accused of deleting posts all the time. Guys, I don't delete anything, okay? Now, I don't do a pinned tweet for every system. Again, I got to be confident that I'm seeing what I'm seeing. Now, I'm going to switch you over to some satellite imagery now, and this is the remnants of Agatha. You can see that right down in here. I don't know if you see my cursor or not, but there's this slight counterclockwise rotation in here. See it? And this is right on the border of the Bay of Campeche in here. So it's fairly close to water. And then there's a secondary spin that's over in here near the Gulf of Honduras. And where the models are fighting each other is sometimes when you get multiple spins like this, it can create model confusion. And one of the things that the GFS has been showing us is that what was Agatha will get left behind, and this spin here will move up towards the Florida Straits and South Florida, and then get in the Bahamas, and then start to develop. And so that's one of the reasons why the GFS does what it does. What the European model does in our analysis is it looks like in about the next 24 hours or so, and you can already see it taking shape, a much larger counterclockwise rotation with these two spins within the envelope, okay? That's what the Euro is seeing, and then eventually one of the two wins out. Now, if you've been a long-time follower of ours, whenever we get in this situation, we call it a fight for dominance. Sometimes a fight can break out between two vorticity spins, and one gets to interact with land a little bit and gets weakened. The other one gets over water. Once it gets over water, it starts firing up and it becomes stronger, and then maybe it moves back over land and weakens up, and then the other one moves back over water and it fires up. So there's a fight in the atmosphere between two vorticity spins, and that's what we think that we're seeing within the Euro. Now, the Euro, you got to give it to the Euro. 2 weeks ago, when the GFS was showing fake hurricanes, the Euro just wasn't buying it. And then now we've got the flip action going on, and it's almost like it happens every year with the GFS. Guys who've been following the GFS for a long time, that every run at that plus 384 mark, there's a hurricane there. And it just does it every year. And then you wonder that whether or not somebody goes in and tinkers with it and tunes the volume down on the model, and then they overdo it, and now the model starts missing stuff. I mean, that's how your mind works when you look at these models like that. But you got to give it to the Euro, who's been for the third day in a row, maybe even fourth, right there off Northeast Florida, every run. And, those are the telltale signs of the Euro being hailed the king, because if this verifies, if what Euro is showing to verify, it just goes to show you that the Euro is the king. Now, we're going to switch you over to the models here in just a minute, but like I said, take a look at this as this starts to rotate. Now, you can see up here in the upper Gulf, that easterly flow down here at the surface, that's this in here, and then you get this curvature in here. And as this system starts to move up, that's one of the things that the European model does, is put this into jettison fairly quickly. Once this package gets on the move, it's on the move. One of those deals where it's here today, gone tomorrow. When you look at the 24-hour increments, coming up day 3 or day 4, it's on the west side of Florida, and then day 5 it's on the east side of Florida, and day 6 it's north of the Outer Banks. So as far as swell is concerned, we're still trying to dial that in, but because the system may end up jettison, that old rule of thumb comes to mind: here today, gone tomorrow. So it may not be a long-lasting swell. The GFS has gone flat on us, guys. Just like it started off showing us a more predominantly heavily weighted eastern side of the system with more southerly winds. If you don't get northeast winds, guys, or we don't get some high pressure to build in on top of it to help increase northeast fetch, East Florida, don't expect much. That's all I'm going to tell you. Your only hope is Euro for right now. All right, let's switch you over to some model runs. Now, this is the 18Z GFS. This just came out a couple hours ago. This starts off for tomorrow. I'll put the model into motion for you, and you can see that there'll be a counterclockwise rotation starting to develop over Central America, and then some lifting as that front comes through. Then you'll also take note that there's a surface trough and an upper level low that's currently over northeast Florida in here. That's that feature right in here. And as this, at least in the GFS model run, as this starts to spin away, this will put some drag in here across Central America and start to drag this out towards the northeast. I'll advance the model some more for you, and you'll see low pressure going into the Florida Straits there. Now, one of the reasons that the GFS may be or not developing this system is that, look, here, once again, we've got land interaction with Cuba, land interaction with South Florida before it can get back over water. And those two instances right there may be enough to keep the system disorganized before it gets out here in the Bahamas, but then remain weak, okay? And yes, it still develops a tropical storm well east of the Outer Banks, northeast of Bermuda, but that's not a swell producer, guys. I hate to break it to you, but that's not a swell producer, so don't hang your hopes on it. All right, switch you over to the Euro. Now, this is the models from tropicaltidbits.com. You guys are free to go to the website, look at this stuff yourself, follow along. So I'm going to switch you over to the Euro now, and we'll back up. 1 second, let it load. Sorry about that. All right. So this is back now for real time. This is today 12Z. And again, you can see in the Euro the two areas of spin. Here's the one right here by the Bay of Campeche, almost in it. And then here is the one that's right here off the tip of the Yucatan. Now, these two, there may be a Fujiwara in here or a similar effect. And these two spins interact with each other, okay, versus fighting one another. Okay, but we'll advance the model some more for you, and you can see that little counterclockwise spin and the ping pong effect of that low pressure that's in there. And then as we get into Thursday, it's coming off the tip of the Yucatan. Okay, and what's, I don't want to say significant, but what did we just talk about over there in the pin tweet? We just saw 90 L invest come off the tip of the Yucatan, and here it is a week later. We're seeing what should be 91 L invest here shortly come off the tip of the Yucatan Peninsula. Advance the model some more for you, and you can see that the Euro remains weak. It's a rainmaker, guys. That's all it is. There's probably some winds in there, probably some severe weather threat. Now, this is Saturday going into this weekend, okay? I'll back you up to Friday. This is Friday. South Florida, you're in the clear. Saturday, that's when the heavy rains start to work their way in. Low pressure approaches the southwest Florida coast. And then as Euro makes the jump into East Florida, right there off Central Florida, that's where it's going to be over the Gulf Stream. And that's where it'll be in the pocket. And that's where the Euro wants to strengthen it up. This is Sunday afternoon going into Monday. Okay, and then boom, we're up here by the Outer Banks already. Okay, so that's a real quick hitter in here. Again, not really sold on it being a swell producer. So, any of you guys that are thinking about hitting the road coming over to Florida, or, thinking about going to the Panhandle, this may not be the one, guys. Okay? Stay home. Let the locals get this one. But once you get up here towards the Outer Banks in this run of the European model, we probably could see some surf alert in there towards the Mid-Atlantic and the Outer Banks, and then maybe some background swell out of the Northeast once this system gets here for Northeast Florida and then down into Central Florida. South Florida, I'm not sold on it yet. Again, there's still a long ways out, still a long time to call. And then, of course, once we get closer to real time or the developing system, then we can go ahead and go into a buoy watch and then watch all the data in real time, and also what the local winds may or may not be. That's all I got for you for now, guys. Stay tuned for the next update, and we appreciate you tuning in. Thanks.